This split view contrasts pop culture narcissism with clinical reality. Psychiatry identifies a structural defense mechanism against deep childhood shame. The right side represents the disorganized shield a child builds to survive emotional neglect, managing the overpowering weight of shame. This psychological armor serves as a post-traumatic survival adaptation. It is an intricate, automatic response designed to keep a vulnerable person safe from an unbearable reality. We will disassemble this engine using a 4-step practical framework. You will learn to look past the polished armor, identify the shame generating those behaviors, and begin building genuine self-worth. Emotional recovery is only possible if we stop focusing on the polished reflection. We have to examine the broken pieces underneath to understand how the machine actually works. This consciousness iceberg illustrates how the shame driving these behaviors operates largely out of sight. The fractured, glowing base represents implicit shame, an automatic, overlearned emotional response that operates unconsciously, dictating how the psyche reacts to perceived failure. This diagram outlines 2 distinct armor types used to survive submerged shame. The overt profile relies on exaggerated self-importance and aggressive entitlement to suppress inadequacy. The covert profile reacts with hypersensitivity and social avoidance, projecting a victim identity. Task 1. Determine which of these 2 profiles your psyche defaults to when feeling socially threatened. Identifying your specific type of armor is necessary before you can begin to remove it. Perfectionism functions as a form of continuous emotional self-mutilation. It creates an internal friction that generates fresh shame every day. This chart shows the grandiosity gap, the distance between an inflated fantasy ideal and actual reality. The expanding red zone is the shame generator. As this gap widens, failing to meet the ideal continuously triggers a flood of negative affectivity. Task 2. Identify one area of your life where you demand perfection. Write down a new, acceptable baseline for your performance tomorrow that aligns with reality. Manually lowering that fantasy line to meet reality turns off the shame generator. Aligning your expectations stops the cycle of psychological shock. This schematic displays the defense mechanism switch triggered by failure. The top silver gears represent the alloplastic path, where overt types deflect failure outward as rage. The bottom red gears show the autoplastic path, where covert types absorb failure inward as self-loathing. Task 3. Practice contextual failure. When you make a mistake, verbally state that the error was a specific, isolated event rather than a reflection of your human worth. Taking healthy accountability intercepts that automatic switch. This prevents the defense gears from grinding and keeps your nervous system from becoming flooded with shame. These side-by-side models show emotional self-regulation failure. The left silver dome represents the grandiose extreme, where shame is toxically suppressed and denied. The shattered right dome is the vulnerable extreme, where the emotional dam breaks, releasing a tsunami of negative affect. Task 4. Establish a daily boundary check-in. Ask yourself if you spent the day rigidly denying your feelings, or if you allowed your sense of inadequacy to overwhelm you. A healthy confidence is the target state. It allows you to feel the sting of a mistake or the discomfort of embarrassment without cracking the foundation of your psyche. A secure internal structure processes these feelings as they occur. It builds the capacity to acknowledge inadequacy without triggering a defensive lockdown or psychological collapse. You now have the toolkit to manage these triggers. By closing the grandiosity gap and intercepting the gears of failure, you can stop the cycle of dysregulation before it starts. This text plaque highlights that narcissistic walls are an intricate post-traumatic adaptation. They evolve to protect an abused or neglected child from an annihilating weight of shame. Put away the defensive armor today. Abandon one perfectionistic fantasy and begin the hard work of building authentic worth based on reality. Leaving behind the polished, fake reflection is the only way to begin. You must work with the broken pieces underneath to build a beautiful, authentic life from the shattered glass.